Okay, close your eyes for just a moment. I want you to picture a scene playing out.
Let's do it.
You're observing this crowded, totally silent space. It could be a subway car, maybe an elevator. Everyone inside is wearing the same, identical, kind of bizarre helmet.
Okay, I'm picturing it. It's a little unnerving.
It is. And they're all just facing forward in this perfect, unblinking line. And then you see on the floor, there's one spare helmet.
Just one.
Just one. And a stranger walks in. They look around. They see the whole unnerving scene, all the helmets, the silence. They hesitate for a beat.
I can feel that hesitation. What do you do?
And then slowly they bend down, pick up that extra helmet, and put it on.
Wow. And not a single word was spoken.
Nothing.
No one gave an instruction. The act of conforming was the instruction.
And that right there is really the core of what we're trying to unpack in this deep dive. This isn't just some quirky thought experiment.
No, it's a reflection of something fundamental about us.
Yeah, that hidden, almost irresistible gravity of the crowd. We're diving into that powerful human instinct to follow the group, even when the why is completely, totally invisible.
We're exploring the psychological mechanisms behind what you could call collective belief or maybe even mass delusion.
Right, but we should be clear.
Yes. To be very clear, we're not talking about some kind of mental illness or pathology here. We're talking about the powerful role of group dynamics, of social pressure, uncertainty, and fear.
And these are things that can lead all of us, even the most critically minded, well-informed people.
Absolutely. To adopt beliefs we would never, ever entertain if we were just standing alone.
And understanding this is just so crucial right now. Our whole mission here is to dissect the anatomy of this phenomenon.
Yeah.
Because these dynamics are shaping everything.
Everything, from workplace culture to global markets.
To national conversations. And really, understanding how that current is formed is the first, most critical step to staying grounded, to making sure your choices reflect your judgment, not just the noise around you.
Okay, so let's unpack this mechanism. Let's start with how an idea or a belief spreads in the first place.
Where do we begin?
I think to really get the severity of this force, you have to look back at history. Think about moments where entire communities shared one intense, singular belief.
Like the Salem witch trials, maybe?
That's a classic example. Or even the panic around Y2K. Or think about financial bubbles, like the dot-com crash.
Right. They feel so distant now, though, like these historical blips that we would never repeat.
You'd think so, but the underlying psychology is surprisingly familiar. What connects all these moments is a mechanism we call social contagion.
Social contagion. It sounds like a virus.
It acts like one. It's the rapid, sweeping, and often non-rational spread of emotions, ideas, and behaviors through a population.
Yeah.
It's much less like a reasoned argument and, well, more like an emotional flu.
So what's the engine then? What makes this emotional virus catch on so fast?
It connects directly to our most basic wiring for survival. It turns out when people feel anxious or uncertain, or when information is scarce, they are powerfully more likely to just ignore what they know privately.
And just copy what everyone else is doing.
Exactly. They copy the actions of those around them. We call this an informational cascade.
An informational cascade. Okay, can you break that down? What does that actually look like in practice?
Absolutely. So imagine a group of people trying to pick a restaurant on a busy street. The very first person chooses one, maybe based on a tiny piece of knowledge, like they just glanced at the menu.
Okay, so not a lot of info.
Very little. Now the second person comes along, sees the first person choose, and thinks, well, they must know something I don't. So they follow.
I can see where this is going.
Right. By the time the 10th person shows up, they see 9 people already in line. And regardless of their own preference, they just join the line. The assumption is that the crowd must have some superior knowledge.
They run because the tribe is running. That's what kept us safe from the tiger in the grass.
That's the instinct. So the problem isn't just that we follow the group. The problem is that the group's initial action might have been based on flimsy or even zero information.
But the cascade makes it look like solid proof.
Precisely. That survival instinct, the one that tells us to look to the group for cues, can lead us straight off a cliff if the group itself is just reacting to anxiety instead of facts.
And that takes us to the next stage, doesn't it? The moment when the group actively stops encouraging those critical questions. I mean, if everyone is running in the same direction, who gets to be the one to slow down and ask why? What happens when the groups start to value comfort and consensus more than truth?
That is the classic trap. It was identified by the psychologist Irving Janis, and he called it groupthink.
Groupthink.
It's what happens when the desire for harmony, for conformity, becomes so powerful that it just overrides a group's ability to think rationally. Janice famously studied this with the Bay of Pigs invasion.
A total disaster where dissent was completely silenced.
A perfect example.
So what are the warning signs, the symptoms of this psychological enclosure?
Groupthink is so dangerous because it creates these illusions. First, there's the illusion of unanimity, where silence is mistaken for agreement.
If nobody speaks up, everyone must be on board.
Exactly. Then there's self-censorship. That's when you personally hold back your doubts just to keep the peace.
To not rock the boat.
And critically, there's immense pressure put on anyone who does dissent. They're made to feel disloyal or foolish for even voicing skepticism. The consequence is always the same. Bad decisions follow.
Because the one critical voice that could have saved the group got muted.
Intentionally or not, yes.
So when you silence genuine skepticism, you create a vacuum. What rushes in to fill that space?
Usually the loudest or the most confident voice. Often from a figure of perceived authority. There's so much research on this. It confirms that people are just way more likely to trust information, even factually shaky information, if it comes from someone they believe has status.
And that status could be anything, right? A job title, a uniform.
Or even just a prominent social media profile. The halo effect kicks in. You assume competence in one area means competence everywhere.
Or they just sound really sure of themselves.
Yes, confidence is incredibly persuasive. We defer to the podium. And when you connect this basic human tendency to our world today, well, the digital ecosystem has put this whole mechanism on an accelerator pedal.
How does the digital world really change these dynamics compared to, say, the Y2K panic you mentioned?
Well, in the past, social contagion had friction. It had to move through newspapers, radio, physical towns.
It took time.
It took time. Today, our platforms are structurally designed to maximize conformity and get rid of friction. Algorithms create what we call filter bubbles and echo chambers.
So you only hear things you already agree with, but louder.
Exactly. They make sure you only hear amplified versions of your own group's consensus. It reinforces your confirmation bias exponentially. You don't just see the crowd running anymore. You see 1,000 reflections of your own anxious face leading the charge.
Which accelerates the whole cascade from days to milliseconds.
Instant.
That makes the process of stepping back and thinking for yourself even harder.
Okay, let's bring this down from these big historical failures to, your actual daily life. Because this isn't always about big, harmful, headline-worthy events.
No, sometimes it's incredibly subtle, almost invisible.
I mean, think about those micro moments.
What stands out to you?
It's that moment you join a digital trend or buy some product without ever really pausing to ask yourself why. You just feel this current of inevitability or, that feeling in a work meeting when you agree with the whole team just to avoid being the one outlier, even when you have a real reservation about the plan.
We've all been there.
Or even just hesitating to voice an unpopular opinion in a casual conversation with friends. Those little moments.
But those small acts of self-censorship, they're the raw material. They're the building blocks for the large-scale events. Every time you hesitate to use your critical voice, you add a tiny bit more gravity to the side of the crowd.
And these small compromises, they aggregate. They build up. They do. And at the largest scale, these tiny moments are what shape everything. They fuel economic booms and devastating busts. They spark moral panics.
So every time you consciously or maybe unconsciously choose conformity over your own conviction, you're adding to that momentum.
And that is the core relevance of this for you, the listener. Recognizing these patterns in yourself helps you build an internal stop sign.
It gives you that split second to pause.
Exactly. That fraction of a second to pause before you react to a viral headline or a panic-driven story. It forces you to check your internal compass and just ask, is this my belief or is this just the crowd's momentum I'm feeling?
So awareness is the counterweight to that hidden gravity.
It is.
It doesn't mean you have to be the difficult one in the room all the time, the contrarian, but it means you stay grounded. You maintain your own critical voice.
You choose intentionally what you adopt and what you push back on. And that intentional choice is everything. Look, collective thinking is woven into the fabric of being human. We need it.
It's part of us.
But when that natural instinct combines with anxiety, with uncertainty, and these unchecked group dynamics we've been talking about, it has the power to just completely cloud our judgment. It can lead people down paths they would never, ever choose alone.
paths that might end with you picking up that strange, unnecessary helmet.
The power of the pause. That is the only real difference between informed judgment and reflexive conformity.
A powerful thought to end on.
So the next time you feel it, that pull, the next time you feel yourself being swept along by the current of a crowd online, in person, in a debate, a trend, whatever, I want you to ask yourself this one question. Profound question, really.
What is it?
If your deepest conviction aligns perfectly and instantly with the loudest, most confident voice in the room, is it truly conviction? Or is it just confirmation? That moment of self-doubt right there, that's where independent judgment begins.